Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and if I sound at all off in today's episode, well, it's because I've been eating sriracha potato chips for the past few minutes and had a little bit go down the wrong pipe, and have been coughing for the past 10 minutes. And so that, by the way, is the single best way I've ever started off a video, and I will be doing that more often. Today we are covering Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, otherwise known as the Terraforming Mars card game, and because a million people have already made the joke, the comment, the focus, I will not in any way double down or focus on the fact that Terraforming Mars is already a card game, and making a game called Terraforming Mars the card game is a little bit silly when the other game is primarily based on cards. I will not focus on that at all, similar to the way that I will not focus on the way that Rajas of the Ganges the dice game and Trois the dice game are also equally ridiculous in their title and very nature of what's going on. But that, I digress. Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition is going to be bringing you Terraforming Mars the card game in another Terraforming Mars the card game, but in a shorter, more accessible, beautiful format with 200 beautiful pieces of artwork on all their cards and giving you a different and smaller condensed Terraforming Mars experience. If you aren't already familiar with Terraforming Mars, well, you should be, because it's one of the highest rated games on Board Game Geek. It's my personal second favorite in my collection for my top whatever of all time. It's my number 2, right behind Blood Rage. Terraforming Mars delivers an incredible experience, both solo and competitively. It gives an incredible, amazing experience that I am looking forward to basically anything they put out. I'm still looking forward to that Legacy game, Terraforming Mars Legacy, which they mentioned like years ago, and I haven't heard anything about it since, but I am still interested in it in case you ever decide to throw it on Kickstarter. Now, sadly, as excited as I am about this game, as I'm looking forward as I am to actually playing it, to getting it in my collection, I am unfortunately not quite as excited about the price, because the price... Well, let's go through the game first, and let's come back to the price later. So, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, like I said already, is giving you a shorter, more condensed experience with different graphical design, different gameplay mechanics, and different artwork layouts, all those different things. If you want a very, very well done breakdown, at only coming in at roughly 4.5 minutes long from Board Game Coffee, I'll throw a link to this video in the description down below, but it goes through a great overview about what's different in Terraforming Mars. And the fastest way I could describe this game is to say that they've taken Terraforming Mars, made it shorter, and then combined it with many of the main mechanics from Race for the Galaxy, and slap, there, boom, you got a game. And that game is going to be Terraforming Mars, the Race for the Galaxy version card game, which is the game indeed. And the way they're going to handle that is they're going to have phases in this game. Over here, you can have different phases where you can choose what's going to happen each round. Whether you choose, first of all, you're going to choose your cards, then you're going to resolve your cards. Those cards will let you potentially play green cards, or potentially play blue or red cards, or let you use your standard and tableau actions. And pay attention to the art here. The artwork does look gorgeous. It looks like it's giving you the same icons, same familiarity, the same comboing and engine building you are used to from Terraforming Mars. And yet with an updated graphical interface, updated actual art from the, not clipart.com or whatever, and giving you that in a Race for the Galaxy Terraforming Mars experience. From there, you're going to have the production phase. Again, this is sounding very Race for the Galaxy, but you'll be able to collect resources from your cards. And finally, the research phase where you can draw cards. So, slight reordering of the Race for the Galaxy phases, but giving you all that in a Terraforming Mars experience. And I don't mean any of this critically, by the way. As someone who was, at one point, a huge fan of Race for the Galaxy, eventually left my collection, and as somebody who is a huge fan of Terraforming Mars, I am very excited about this game. I am very excited about them combining different aspects of games I liked and giving me a shorter playtime. This comes in, depending on who you speak to, this comes in at roughly half the playtime of Terraforming Mars. It has a 2-player, 3-player, 4-player mode. It has a solo mode as well, so it's giving you all the same highs and the features you want from Terraforming Mars, but in a slightly different format, which is, like I said, Terraforming Mars, the Race for the Galaxy version. And that's going to be overall what's going on here. Like I said, I'm trying to give you a brief high-level overview. If you want to spend 4.5 minutes on the Board Game Coffee video, he really does an excellent job of going through every single change, the differences, how you start with cards. One of the fun ones is when you have titanium and earth or whatever, when you have, not titanium and earth, titanium and metal or whatever it is, you don't actually consume those. Rather, they give you an ongoing discount. So every time I raise my titanium, I get a 3 discount on all my titanium cards without consuming the titanium resource, which is more engine building and more fun and more stuff I'm looking forward to. Obviously, we hope that the game is balanced around those facets, those features, the new changes to the game, but I assume it will be to a degree. I believe Jacob Frixis is involved in the game design as well, so he's still a designer of the game. I believe. I can't find his name right here. But yeah, so that's going to be overall what Terraforming Mars is giving you. So let's talk about the pledge levels, and the pledge levels are numerous, but I'm only going to focus on one of them because they have a whole lot of pledge levels. Let's actually go through what you get in the game. So what's in the box? What's in the box is going to be a box, which is always helpful when you're getting a box. There's going to be a game board, a rule book, a quick start guide, the production tracks, which are dual layered. These player boards are dual layered. They're solving that problem out the gate, which is very great to see. Happy to see that. We have the phase tracking tokens, all the 20 phase cards, so each player has their own set of phase cards. The 9 ocean tiles, which are going to be basically they're replacing the ocean. The trees are going to be abstracted to tokens. The ocean tiles are just going to be flipped over on the main board, and you get various bonuses. You have 208 project cards, which I'm looking forward to all the expansions they deliver. The forest VP tokens, which, like I said, that's the abstracted forest tokens. Think of them, I don't know, think of them kind of like the resources or VP tokens you see in Race for the Galaxy. Something like that, you know, same shape, same whatever, different artwork, but same basic overview. 12 corporation cards, which are going to be the same corporations you're used to seeing from the base game, but slightly adjusted to fit the mechanics of this game. The 52 player cubes with the 2 clear cubes to track the oxygen and temperature. And then 2 cube trays, so you can quickly pull them out of the box and utilize the game as whatever. Then we have a whole bunch of cards over here. You have 106 green project cards, you have 64 blue project cards, 38 red project cards. Those are going to be kind of the events, the 12 corporation cards. So they really are focusing most heavily on the green cards as the core mechanic of the game, with everything else kind of fleshing it out. There are previews and things galore from Man vs. Meeple, from Dice Tower, from Rado. And like I said already, my personal favorite is going to be the Board Game Coffee one, which really just gives you a quick, easy overview of what changed in the game. And then from there, we're going to have the day 1, day 2, day 3 promos across the course of this 16-day campaign. We're going to see all the various promos slowly unlocked. Day 1 has the Celestial Corporation card, which is you start with 50 MC and action, something covered by the word promo. So I have no idea. But promo items are Kickstarter exclusives, not exclusive, are Kickstarter items that backers will get as rewards, will not be included in the retail edition of Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. So these are all these promos you get in the day 1, day 2 unlocks. All those are going to be available in the Kickstarter, and then if history is any indicator, they will be available on Board Game Geek as well, and that will be a huge part of the price conversation when we get there. So, day 2 locked, which is going to be an assorted Enterprise red card, so a new project card. We have an upcoming live stream, and then the pledge levels. So, pledge levels, what do you get here? For $39, you get Ares Expedition. So, $39 for this game, which, I mean, by all accounts, by the way, the gameplay experience will be worth it, no question. If Terraforming Mars is anything to go by, if the people playing this game and their opinions so far are anything to go by, then I believe this game is 100% worth $39. I also believe $39 is more than you'll have to pay for it otherwise, and so worth is relative in that sense. Past that, we have $84 for the base of operations, basically paying an extra $45 to get the base game. Not the worst price, not the best price, but not the worst price. It's a fairly competitive price. You can find it cheaper for $45 when it's on sale, but a $45 price tag on the game is kind of reasonable, although you have to factor in that it may well increase your shipping costs as well, and so that changes the conversation as well. And then $190 expanding universe, and you keep going up, the Mars Explorer, the Corporate Investor, which gives you the big box. All these other campaign levels, all these other pledge levels are basically giving you other Terraforming Mars products, nothing to do with Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. I'm not saying do or don't get them, I'm saying just compare the prices to what's otherwise available, and then do or don't get them based on that and that alone. It's a simple price comparison, you don't have to do anything else. See what your personal price options are, where you would get them from in your country, your store, your whatever, and compare whether this Kickstarter, including shipping, is the best option for you. Over here is the Board Game Coffee video I've been talking about. And then we have a bunch of add-ons. And this is not going to be all the add-ons. We'll go through a little bit more shortly. But for $30, we have the custom card sleeves. If you want custom card back sleeves, then this is great because you won't be able to get them elsewhere. Otherwise, get Sleeve Kings, which I always recommend. And it'll cost you, like $6 for the 300 sleeves you need instead of $30. And then you also won't have to worry about matching future expansions and being locked in and having 3 extra sleeves and where do you store them. All the drama and stuff that comes with custom card sleeves that I personally don't like. I recommend Sleeve Kings. Give them a shot if you are looking for regular sleeves that are of good quality. Then for $45, we have the Metal Resource Cubes. This is going to be less. For those wondering, this is going to be fewer cubes in the Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition game than there are in the Terraforming Mars Big Box. So if you have the Big Box, you can just utilize the cubes from there. I believe there are roughly 200 cubes in the Big Box. There's 148 over here. And so you can buy these if you want them for the game. If you already have the Big Box ones, you can probably just reuse those, although keep in mind it does mean moving from box to box. So maybe you just really like your Deluxified cubes and you'll go ahead and get these $45 Resource Cubes, which doubles the price of your game. But hey, if it's worth it to you, premium components are premium components. Although I do recommend checking out Etsy for other options for your premium cubes to see which one is a better fit for you. Then, for neoprene mats, we have 2 neoprene mats for $15, 4 neoprene mats for $25. Those are going to be those basic neoprene mats. That's decide for yourself whether that's of value to you. And let's go through the rest of the add-ons, which are going to be available if you click on over here. The dollar pledge level is just here for the gear. You can click to pledge over here, select this reward, continue, at which point you should be able to see all the various options over here. You have the Ares Expedition sleeves, the metal resource cubes, the play mats, the player boards, so you can receive 5 double layer player boards for the original Terraforming Mars. This is something that was available, I believe, first in the Turmoil expansion, and then subsequently in the Big Box expansion. You can get them now. For $75, you can get the Metal Resource Cubes with the $200. So the pricing is a little off. It's either $45 for $148 or $75 for $200. The ratio there is off, but up to you in terms of how you want to do it. For myself, I'd probably just spend $90 and get $300, then spending $75 and getting $200, but again, to each their own. For $25, you get the Terraforming Mars Turmoil promo cards. We will come back to that. And then for $25, you get the Terraforming Mars Big Box promo cards, and that one's a little hard to come back to, but we will certainly make educated guesses around them. So, that's everything. That's add-ons. That's the game. That's what's included in the box. That's the pledge levels, the add-ons, all of that. Ultimately, should you back it? Should you not? Ultimately, the only real 2 reasons I can think of to back it, the only ones I can personally come up with, are either A, if you want to support the publisher, because you are giving them a bigger percentage of the pie than if you buy it at retail, or B, if you want this game right away, and honestly, if you do, I don't fault you. I love Terraforming Mars, and I think this is a bad back, and I'm still considering backing it because I want the game right away. Most games, I will sit there and say, you know what, I'm not in a rush. I have plenty of unplayed games. I don't need to get my hands on this. For Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, I like the game enough. I like the core Terraforming Mars game enough that I am potentially willing to pay $10, $15 more than I otherwise have to in order to get this game as early as possible. So those are the 2 main reasons I can think of to back the game. Why did I say that? Why the other cost differential, all that? Why are those not factors? Because once you factor in the cost of the game is $39 plus shipping. Let's take the basic edition over here. USA, $11 for Ares Expedition. That means you're paying $50 for this game, and I guarantee you, it is not a $50 game. The price of this game is a little bit unknown. My guess is we're probably looking at a $39.95 MSRP. It is possible it is higher, because the reasons we can make the argument that it's higher is the cards alone aren't enough to justify anything. But, I mean, 200 cards is just not enough. But from there, we can look at other options, such as, for instance, we can look at the fact that they have cube trays. These resource trays over here, the cube trays, the fact that they have a whole bunch of player cubes, the fact that they have a ton of tiles, the fact that they have the double layer player boards. All those are things that can contribute to a higher MSRP, but in my opinion, without knowing more, the $39.95 is the higher MSRP. I don't think it's $49.95. I think this is a $30 game, that they're making it a $40 game by adding in all these extras, and a $39.95 MSRP would basically resort to being like $32 online with free shipping. So you can pay $50 for it, or you can pay, $32 or potentially even less, depending on what the actual price ends up being. Now, the flip side of that is you are getting the promo cards. So you want to factor in those promo cards as well. That's a $15 value right there. If you look on Board Game Geek, practically speaking, if you look at the Turmoil cards on Board Game Geek, they're available for $15. So that's a $15 value for whatever promo cards come in throughout the campaign. It's apples to oranges to a degree, because you don't have an exact picture of what promo cards were available then versus now, but you're probably looking at roughly a $15 value, which means you can get this game probably for around $30 plus $45, or you can pay $50, which is not the biggest gap, don't get me wrong. You're overpaying, but not by a huge amount. Depending on the actual MSRP at the end of the day, you're looking at paying $5 to $10 more to get this game here, and like I said, for myself, this is one of the few times I'm willing to sit there and say, I want the game, and so I may well end up backing it. That aside, in terms of the MSRP, if you look through the comments, one of the things that's a little frustrating to see is they're not commenting, they're not addressing any questions around the MSRP, which means it is all conjecture. If you go through the comments, through every single one, which I have, there are tons of questions, and and Stronghold Games is being incredibly responsive about answering most of those questions, which is great. I'm happy they're being responsive. They're also avoiding 2 questions. They're avoiding questions around what the MSRP is. Every single question from the very beginning that involves MSRP, they have completely avoided the question. And then secondly, there are questions about why are your promo cards for Turmoil $25 when you can get them in the BGG store for $15? And they're ignoring those questions as well. And I understand why they'd want to ignore those questions. The answers may not be favorable to themselves, but practically speaking, I can say that when people keep asking, when someone asks the first time and you don't have a great answer, go ahead and ignore it. It works. When someone asks again and again and again, It is far better to just call it out with whatever answer you can come up with that makes sense, because avoiding it is just as bad. You're not everyone already makes their own theories once you avoid a question enough times, and so you don't get any of the PR around that, but then you just have people talking about why are you avoiding it. So you don't earn the customer goodwill, and you still have the dissatisfaction with the answer or lack of answer. It is far better to just call it out. There are any number of reasons they can give as to why they're pricing it the way they are. They can own it and say, listen, this is the price, this is why it's the price. We understand you might want to rate to retail. That's totally fine. We're presenting this campaign to you, and it's up to you how you want to move forward. You'd end up with a lot more customer goodwill if you actually just engage with the answer. And again, I'm all for ignoring it the first time. I'm all for ignoring answers that are hard to answer the first time. But when it comes up again, at a certain point, you want to address it. As far as the Board Game Geek Terraforming, the Board Game Geek promo cards, then same idea. You can simply say, hey, we can't undercut Board Game Geek. They're a partner of ours. We work with them all the time. We have to charge this price. If you want to get it from Board Game Geek, we completely understand and get it. Because I guarantee you, people are going to do that anyway. But at least this way, you own the question, you own the answer, you jump straight in, and you come across as far more engaging and customer friendly than trying to avoid uncomfortable questions. And keep in mind, we have 4,864 backers in this campaign, and that's day one. This campaign will be over 10,000 backers before the campaign is over, and I am pretty sure that I will be one of them. I just don't see the $5-10 for a game I love versus waiting to get it later. It's a risk I'm willing to take on this campaign. So the campaign's a smashing success. Just own it. At $300,000. Again, I think this thing will cross $1 million. This is going to do well because Terraforming Mars is one of the highest rated games of all time. It is one of the most popular games of all time, and I understand why. I think it's incredible. I'm looking forward to adding this to my collection, not to replace Terraforming Mars, but to augment Terraforming Mars, to be able to pull out. If I want to play Terraforming Mars solo in half an hour, I will pull this out. If I want to play Terraforming Mars with my friends in 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever it is, I will pull this out. This is going to be a hit. I mean, again, people who have played the game are saying nothing but positive things about it, and it is based off of a game system or 2 game systems that have historically done well. Overall, this campaign is a solid game. It's a solid campaign, a solid game. The price is not great. It isn't. At least unless and until I see something else to indicate otherwise, the price is below average. You are paying more to get this game on Kickstarter than you would to get it at retail. But at least you know that when you do get it, you're walking away with a hit and not something that's going to sit languishing in the corner for the next 3 years unplayed while everyone else talks about how you shouldn't have backed that campaign. And that basically is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition, the card game. Great game, great premise, campaign doing well, but one that you will have to ask yourself. You will have to ask yourself whether you prefer the $5-10 savings or getting it early or whatnot. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.